hello and good afternoon, possible evening, whenever or morning. I don't know when you're listening to this.
Don't you dare listen to this in the morning. No.
Who would ever? They're like, good morning.
Actually, most people are like, on my morning commute is when I do listen.
So sorry. Okay, so hello.
Hello.
We're having a bright and sunny day.
Yes.
I am still on week 72 of having what I think might be bronchitis at this point.
We're going to get her checked out after this, so we'll get to the bottom of it. The reason there's no guest here is because of possible bronchitis.
We were like, let's have a guest. And then I was like, oh, I'm disgusting.
I'm like,
no
I don't
want to
set this up like E.T., where like the guest comes in like a hazmat suit, and I'm like, have a seat in the chair.
We're like, sorry about all this disgustingness.
Yeah, but we're alive, and we're feeling good, and we're moving forward. Episode 20.
Is it episode 20?
Yeah, today's episode 20. Lee's going to be restarting her engine every time it turns off.
Oh, my God.
Like one of those new cars.
Like, I just want to say the Santa Ana winds have done a number on my allergies.
Yeah.
And I'm just not prepared for this.
And I just can't seem to get sick because...
That's such a weird problem to have. Of like, I just want to get an illness.
Well, no, just for me, it's like I'm like trying to just be so productive right now to catch up on things. And it's hard when you are sick, but you're actually sick. And so for me to be like, let's go up this hill.
I know, you're like, come on, let's go on a hike. And I'm like, I want to die.
I'm like, yeah, but then my therapist is like, you need to go on walks. So I've been going on walks. So
good for you.
Sometimes there's solo walks. We do a lot of thinking. I go on these walks in complete silence. I don't even listen to music.
No.
Which is more just, I think, bad habits on my end, because it's like halfway through, I'm always like, should have just brought some ear pods.
I would have really loved some music. Yeah.
I'm not just going to be holding my phone out like I said. Okay, there's a tree. That's nice. And then like yesterday I went on this walk. I felt good. I'm like, oh, I'll just go to this viewpoint we go to.
Yeah.
So I go to the viewpoint and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's nice. And I take the camera out to like film a panoramic and it just dies. And I'm like, well, all right. And then I'm like, well, maybe I should keep walking. And then I'm like, but what if Lee needs to get a hold of me now? My phone's dead. I just kind of walked out.
Cheddar.
She might think I'm gone forever. So
yeah, remember that one time that Cheddar just went on a walk and never came back?
I mean, it's sad, but it's sad, but it's a story that too many kids have told.
So many
now,
kids have told
it would never be me intentionally walking out. It would be I walked out and then aliens got me, or I walked out and then the Mafia got me, or I walked
somehow
out.
joined a cult really deep in it.
Yeah, that might not work. I still would call. I feel like I'm not good enough for a cult. Like, they'd be like, you can't talk to these people.
You're so charismatic.
No, I'd be good to run a cult, but I couldn't be in one, because they'd be like, oh, you can't talk to these people anymore. And I'm like, the fact that you said I can't.
I'm an extrovert,
yeah,
sir.
Yeah. Hey, Dad, how's it going? Miss you, bud. Like, yeah.
That's why you won't.
Because they say I can't. Yeah.
No, and I understand that.
I mean, we were both kind of in a cult. That's how we met. But we don't need to talk about comedy in L.A.
Groundlings Theater, and it is a cult.
And
the
so is UCB,
of ways.
and so are all of them.
All of the theater schools in Los Angeles are just a level of cult.
I think Los Angeles is one big cult, and then there's just micro cults in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not good.
Wow.
The only cult I like is a horse. And the one from Three Ninjas, which was based on the horse.
I loved Colt from Three Ninjas. He was my boyfriend.
But we were all a tum-tum, even though we didn't want to be.
Oh, I knew I was a tum-tum.
But, yeah.
It wasn't like I didn't want to be. I absolutely, without a doubt, was a tum-tum.
Yeah.
Jake wanted to be a Rocky.
No, everyone knew that there was no Rockies. Rocky wasn't watching the movie. Rocky was out kicking bricks and touching ladies' bodies. I don't know.
Bodies?
Somewhere.
Bodies is too vague. It sounds creepier saying bodies.
Yeah, but for someone who was so awkward in high school, for me, it's like this would be like, oh, yeah. Like one time I put my hand on another person's hand for a while, and it was pretty hot.
So you're like almost like in a Jane Austen way, you know, like when Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice, like he gives her a hand up to the carriage, and then he like flexes his hand because he can't stand it.
Yeah.
A lot of women know what I'm talking about.
Well, I don't know if anyone here is from the Northern Europe, Scandinavian / Friesland area, but my family, they didn't do a lot of cuddling
or touching.
No, so we would do like prolonged handshakes, and that was getting pretty nice. With hands like these.
I can't. If a chapter in your book isn't called prolonged handshakes, I don't know what we're even doing.
Listen, I have almost never given a handshake where someone afterwards wasn't like, wow, what a handshake. So I got that.
That's the beginning part of the chapter, everyone. That's how it starts.
And it's hard.
How about that?
And it's hard to know if they liked it or if they felt a little
creeped out. Yeah.
Well, also you're going to be creeped out when like you go to shake a normal guy's hand, which you think I'm a normal guy, and then my glove goes around your entire hand, especially when you're like an alpha male in your mind. Then you realize you have tiny little Trump hands, and I got these big mittens.
Oh my! The whole hand, is gone.
I could actually hold both of your hands in one hand, and then poke you with the other hand, a big brother.
I'm gonna release an album called Post-Nasal Drip.
Oh, dude, I bet that's gonna be tight.
Honestly, not no.
I'm gonna release a clothing line called Post-Nasal Drip. My drip.
That's part of my brand.
Oh, cool. Then I'm here to help. I'm here to help. Great. A lot of booger colors, the chartreuse we were talking about.
Colors. And mainly
everyone's like, huh.
Mainly just the fact that my voice sounds really cool right now, and I feel like I should be releasing at least 2 or 3 punk tracks.
Well, my dog's up. Things are going well over here. Kind of crazy, but good.
Hold on. Is that?
That is the North Korean army coming.
It
sounds like old planes. Doesn't sound new.
Sounds like a B-52 bomber. Yeah.
Sounds like something that came out in the 50s. Still scary.
Okay. Landing on the roof.
Well, I don't know. We probably should turn on the news because like there's been a lot of sirens and there was a lot of traffic, and even someone I was talking to was like, "Sunset's closed," and I'm like, "For what?" And they didn't know. They seem scared. I love that
we're just like, fuck it. Yeah, we're recording a podcast as the nuclear bomb is going off behind us.
Dude, that'd be a good way to go. Like in Pompeii. Do you remember like in Pompeii, if you don't know, look it up. Pretty crazy time to be alive. This volcano erupted and basically took out an entire city. They couldn't get away from the volcano. So now there's all these like it melted and it froze. So there's all these like human statues of them basically dying. But if you really go deep in it, there's a guy who's full on whacking it.
Delman!
And he's in a museum.
To know about the man whacking it that got caught in the Pompeii volcano.
He's in like the Met Museum, just like, yeah, Baba.
What is it called? The Masturbator?
It's not an art piece. It's just called Guy trying to take the last few minutes to touch.
Guy living life to the fullest.
Guy trying to say what up to Zeus.
No way.
Anyways, we're filming a podcast while the world's ending. That guy decided to get... I don't know if he finished, though, but...
Dylan.
That's what I'm worried about, because that's...
in the middle of it, he didn't.
That's blue balls forever right there.
He's fine. He's dead.
Anyways, if I didn't cut that, pretty funny. If I did... How's it going? How's life besides chaotic? But definitely for me picking up. Ever since taking that personality test, I've really learned a lot about myself and my whole family. At this point, it's gone through your whole family.
I do think that's really funny. We did the Myers-Briggs personality test,
which we will put on our Instagram. If you want to know where to find it, that's where we're gonna kind of be having a landing page. We met with a social media expert who is actually a listener. She's amazing. She's a queen. She's reached out. She kind of gave us some strategies, taught us how to use the Insta.
No, you can't be that guy who's like, I have no idea where I am and how I got in this handbasket.
That's going to be a landing page for a lot of stuff. If we talk about it on here, we're going to be posting it on the Instagram. So go follow the Instagram if you want. It's Favorite Cheese Podcast. All right?
Yeah.
Can't forget it. Favorite Cheese Podcast on Instagram. It's just easier to feel like I'm not dumb, but if I really play dumb, then maybe they'll think...
just like, how do you get this dumb?
No, I'm not that dumb.
They're like, is there like code?
Yeah, no, I know how to build these things. It's just I don't know how to organize. You know, that's the problem with my cult. You know, I haven't been able to organize it well. I've been like, hey, you guys want in? And they want in, and then I just never tell them where to go.
Are we doing the Kool-Aid tonight? No? Okay, hey, we'll circle back. But please, guys, let's get together on when we're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, we lost Daryl on accident. He just took the Kool-Aid because he was staying home that night.
Sure. Oh, Daryl. He's all alone.
He's like, I'll do it too.
We're like, no. Yeah. Daryl tried to FaceTime his Kool-Aid drink and it didn't work.
But so yeah, Instagram is where we will put the link to the test we're talking about.
Yes, it's a good one. And then what is funny, because we literally sent it to our entire family. All of them have taken it. It's been a real funny eye opener of being like, oh my God, these people are this person is this.
The personality test has been great. It's been helping me really get organized. And also for me, one of my big things is feeling like, you know, I plan something, it doesn't go my way, and then I get all that down because my parents are like super organized micromanagers. So that's what I was raised by. So I'm always like thinking I have to be that. But then
you're like feeling like you need this level of like this success, this constant motion of like,
or like in how I was raised, like if you don't wake up at this time and you don't do this and you don't carry a notebook, you're a loser. And you're like, ow, my dad. If you don't balance your checkbook still, what if the computer gets it wrong?
Computer's not going to get it wrong.
Yeah, and so...
all right.
Yeah, so it's just like me being the complete opposite of every letter of them, trying to understand, like, why am I not like this, and then being hard on myself, and then versus you understanding, like, I read their whole thing, and it read them out like a book. Because I think we talked about that, but the one thing, is... And so it's just been great. And we've been getting in control of it. And I'm just like, these are my choices now. I'm choosing to do things like this, which really empowers. It feels great. So feeling good, feeling hot. And
feeling hot.
Yeah. So very excited about that. And with the taking my life back into my own hands, I've been using, I'm going to hop into my Unbelievably Grateful /
Whoa, okay.
Yes.
New segment, Unbelievably Grateful. Love it.
Yeah, and just over the moon, because the moon is technically made of cheese. So
that is just a fact. I think we all know this, and so yes,
it counts.
I'm on board.
Yeah, and so by like kind of taking back my life and building a structure and really thinking about it, and then instead of reacting to things, making more choices, it's really helped me to start to see the things that I want to do versus the things I don't want to do, right? You know, so versus like feeling like I'm stuck always cleaning the house or something, it's like, I will clean the house on these days. On these days, I will not clean the house. But it's
helpful.
Yes. So it's helped me. And I bumped into an old friend of mine who he books and develops at the Comedy Store.
Sure.
And he was like, Delman, good to see you, man. And I'm like, good to see you too. But it's awkward in your head because you're like, am I out of the game? Am I in the game? It's been because of COVID. I haven't really been focusing on the line performances as much, which sucks because it's like I know some of my other friends, and we've already talked about this a few times. They just, kept going, like they were going to underground open mics.
Which I thought was like such a weird, they're just like, I got to get my comedy out, man. And you're like, you're going to die, but cool. Or like, you're not taking
their
it
argument
seriously.
was always that they would kill themselves if they didn't do it. And you're like, I mean,
I don't believe that.
I know. I get it. It's okay.
Being harsh.
It's all right.
Sorry.
It sucks. And it's something that definitely made me have FOMO about, but I made the right choice on the way out,
Yeah.
And so one of my biggest fears I was building up is like, A, it's hard to get back into. B, what if I run into that ex crew that kind of screwed me over?
Sure.
C, like, I'm out of practice, and what if they don't remember me? What if they neg me, Because some of the old group I was in, they would neg each other, and they were like mean.
Toxic,
and, very toxic. And
the stand-up comedy scene,
it can be.
It's
be
not
really toxic. All toxic, but
it can be.
There are bullies, lots of them.
Yes.
Especially the ones a lot of us love.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact. Like some people, you're like, God, they're so funny, and then you like get around them, and you're like, I hate this.
They just
I hate
practice
being around you.
Being funny a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he texted me, which was very nice, and he's like, hey, come on out tonight.
The old friend,
the old good friend from the Comedy Store, who actually, like, I realize now, like, I was so in my old group that, like, I was blind to like my true friend, like the people that really got a kick out of me.
People that were really being kind to you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm in a band, kind of, But it's been really nice because like those guys, once they screwed me over, never reached out to see how we were or if we were live or anything else. Not. But then these guys, they were always like checking in and yada yada. And so finally I come back and I didn't know what to expect. But he texts me, he's like, come out tonight, man. And I was like, hey, and I was a little tired. I'm like, how about tomorrow? And then it was one of those like, yeah, whatever's. And I was like, yeah, this is it. Let's just do this.
You gotta go. Rip the Band-Aid off, baby.
Rip the Band-Aid off. I walked up there. I was like, here we go. And literally, like, it couldn't have been better. Like, my biggest fears, which are sometimes our worst enemies, like you, or at least people with anxiety like me, we build up these possibly false narratives.
Yeah, you hyperbolize.
Yeah, and my dad used to do that all the time because his personality, he has like the judgmental thing. So with the judgmental, you're constantly building up like, this person must do this, or this is what it must be, or this is how they must think. And it's like, who cares? You're never going to know what they think, so why try? Truly. But anyways, for me, I was like, they're going to do this, and it's going to be like this. And then I got there. It was one of my good friends, Joe, working at the front door. Yeah. And he's hilarious. He was just like, Delman, what's up, buddy? And then I was like, oh my gosh. And then like without missing a beat, one of my other really good friends, Jesus Trejo, comes out. And it was like, Jesus. And I hadn't seen him. And I didn't even know he was going to be there.
He's an angel, baby.
He hugs me. And then it's just like, before you know it, it's everyone. I'm just like back in the scene. And all I had to do is just like, it wasn't this big thing like I thought it was going to be. It was literally just like me being like, my wife had 4 open heart surgeries. By the time she was 13, she had a Make-A-Wish. She was super sick. The doctors were basically like, if she gets it, she'll die. So I had to stay in because my stand-up comedy career wasn't big enough yet. And they're like, got it. Welcome back. And I'm like, great. And then they just let me.
That's nice that you didn't, no one felt like, well, if you were taking it seriously or if you were
No, that's what I thought. They were like, should we book you on shows now? They're like, you're ready to go? Like some of them were like, you made the right choice. You didn't miss anything. And so that's when I was like, okay, like, it's only those creepy guys that are making, and some girls, but mainly they're guys, that are making it this weird game, and they try and get in your head, and they try and make you like, well, if you missed out, you missed out. And you're like...
I feel like so much of that is a really big part of like that culture where it's just like that hustle, that grind, like I'm a struggle, like I gotta hustle, gotta grind. And you're like, no, not necessarily. Yeah. And like also... if that's the narrative that you want to put out in the world, that's fine, but it erodes you. It really, truly erodes you.
I believe it erodes you if you really believe it, which is my problem because I would believe it and I'd be like, I have to struggle because before this, I did feel very like I didn't have a super focused goal. Like I just kind of was like, I'm out here and I'm working really hard and I'm hoping something happens. Yeah. But now I'm like, oh no, like it does suck. They don't teach you in drama school the art of business. They just teach you how to do a monologue pretty good. And so I've been learning that over the year. And some people naturally have that. And some people, but I think a lot of these people, they pretend that they're struggling and they pretend. It's that
weird martyr syndrome. Where
it's the same as like a lot of those guys that I was already talking crap about that were saying like, come on guys, we got to wear the mask. We got to get out there. And then they're not practicing that. It's the same as like, we like, oh my God, I'm struggling so much. And it's like, they're not really like, they're just trying to they want you to feel sorry for them or they want you to romanticize their journey or like their choices. Like, sorry, I missed your wedding. Like if you understand.
Yeah, we did. We had a couple of friends miss our wedding because they were like, I have a show. And you're like, okay, girl, that's crazy, but you do. Well, man.
One of them I didn't mind because he actually was producing a festival, and he had told me when I was asking for dates, and I was like, we're good here, but there were some other ones, and then there's a lot of people that miss things, and I mean, sadly, I missed my aunt's wedding because it wasn't her first or second wedding, but I did miss it. Because of a Groundlings show and looking back at it, I'm like, what was I doing? COVID really helped me appreciate my family, appreciate those who are close to me, but also appreciate like, I don't know, like my worth and my talent, my skills. Cause that's been my biggest problem too, is like, who, me? Like waiting for someone to tell me I'm good enough.
That's that imposter syndrome when you were asking like about it. That really is that where you just go like, I'm not good enough. I'm not. Like it's that.
Well, you were saying you get that when you do something good. Like I don't.
No, I've had imposter syndrome a couple of times when Groundlings when you would go through the program and like your friends would get cut and you'd stay, you'd be like, do I deserve this? Am I good enough? If they didn't get it, why do I deserve it? And so you kind of do like, or like if you win a huge show on an NBC platform and like the whole time afterwards, you just feel sick to your stomach because you're like, how did, did we deserve this? And should the other person have won because they were truly talented and they deserved everything in the world? And that happens. Like on imposter syndrome is very real. And it is a lot of just like you trying to come to terms with it. But
mine is like on the opposite though, because it's like, I'm like, I feel like I deserve more success. Like, I mean, no, it's true.
Hey, where are you?
It's just hard to start over. And that's kind of what it feels like. It's like, I still have all the skills. I still have all the connections, but it just feels like I'm doing some open mics again, which is not a problem. I actually had a really nice time performing and getting up again because, that's what I'm very grateful for. Not only did they invite me in, but I got back up on the stand-up and I still got it, baby.
Hey, baby.
So, so that was really fun to have again and to actually enjoy it versus be afraid of like, because that was the other thing, like you'd get up there and you'd do a set and it was not, and what stand-up should be, in my opinion, is it should be you performing for the audience and hopefully bringing laughter to them and not like worrying about what the other comedians think. Like, who cares, Yeah. And so that's what it used to be of like, I hope I was funny or as funny as them. And now it's like, who cares? Like this was a great time.
Yeah.
And, so very grateful for that. I'm excited, and it is hard to get back on the horse, but it's like when I really go through, it's so funny because one of the nights you and I were having, because our lives aren't always perfect. Like I know how perfect we always look when we're on camera.
I don't know about that. I don't know if everyone...
how perfect we look all the time.
I don't know if everyone thinks that. I can't imagine.
No, I think that's what they like about the podcast is that we don't,
just sitting on their couch.
Yeah, and also we're not sugarcoating it. We're being honest about everything.
That's your unbelievable.
My unbelievable grateful fondue is that I'm getting back into the creative aspects of my life, and I'm in control this time.
Wow.
And things are happening.
Yeah.
Things are growing.
Yeah.
And the next few years are going to be great.
All I want to do is just write Christmas films.
Yeah.
That's all I want to, and star in them, but not as like, God knows
You're just
the
like
lead.
the coffee owner.
Yeah,
the
I want to be like
owner.
the weird barista.
There's always an old lady who's like they always look up to her and she's like a kooky old lady.
That's all I want. Or it's like the woman that owns the hardware store.
Yeah.
The woman that just falls continuously in the background. Mm-hmm. I would love that
like
role.
Mrs. Doubtfire's assistant, the sassy, the old woman who's mad at first and then not.
Sure.
In the books,
what a dream.
And You've Got Mail, that old woman in the bookstore who's like, your mother would have loved.
The Kookaran. I love the Kookaran part.
Yeah.
That's all I want is those weird little parts.
So this is the year of cheese.
Wow.
Or the era of cheese, because I think it's going to be longer than a year. I think it's going to take a minute, but
the era of cheese.
We're excited, and that's what I'm excited about. And thank you for all who listen, because you've definitely really helped me feel good.
Nice.
And we read all the comments, we read all the emails, and it's really nice. Even the weird ones that say really weird stuff. It's just nice you reached out.
Even the people that keep asking Lee if she's menstruating.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah, and it's okay.
You don't need to ask. Just so you know, it's always.
And to the guy with the 5G chip in his head, maybe
you
I believe that could be real. Like I'm not going to be one of the other people that says no.
I can't be the person that says no
because I don't know. Things are crazy right now.
If I had a 5G chip in my head and I said, "Hey, I have a 5G chip in my head," all I would want was for someone to believe me.
Yeah. So
I know.
I don't know how to get to the bottom of it, but I'm here for you.
I don't know how to get to the bottom.
But I hear you.
Okay, my fondue is very simple and it's very small. And we don't really need to talk about it that much, but Succession is back.
Yeah. It's a great show.
It's a fucking great show, and I love it. I love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I think it's because it's truly a world that I will never know, because the wealth is just absolutely exorbitant, and it's just.
But it's not even about the wealth, because there is a chance you could experience some wealth, because once you cross a certain threshold,
Sure.
it's all the same.
It's not about that. It's just about that.
The dynamics, and the power.
Everything.
Yeah.
Also, truly, the writing is so good, and they're so good at like Jesse Armstrong, who's like one of the creators of it, who also created one of our favorite shows, Peep Show. Which, if you haven't seen Peep Show,
it's amazing.
It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. I think it honestly. There's things that you like see in your life that really influence you. Like for me, Lucille Ball was such like I watched it every single day.
Yeah.
Like physical comedy of hers and just who she is. That was such an influence in my life.
Yeah.
And so you don't necessarily get things later in life where you go like, oh, that's a huge influence on my comedy. But Peep Show was one that came along, and I was like, oh, I love every part of this, and this will be influencing everything.
Once you get over it, like give it a minute because the filming style is strange. Yeah. It's like from their point of view, so you can see their hands, and like it's very jolty at first.
You can hear their inner thoughts.
But that's the beauty, is you can hear their inner thoughts, and then once they kind of figure it out, it doesn't. It's not as jarring as you think. But Jesse Armstrong, who created that show, which is a British comedy, is now doing this. And I read an interesting article that was saying Succession is not a drama; it's technically a British comedy, and I think that's 100% true. And all the actors are British for the most part, except for Kieran.
And they do such a good job of like. Of that cringe, of that like, which normally I would not be okay with, but like just that weird awkwardness of just like I'm so uncomfortable, but I have to watch it.
Well, you appreciate it because any meeting that normal people like us have is cringy. So when to see it on that level and to know that you need to be that excited about the cringe, I'm like, cool, not me. Like I'm not gonna be. I don't need it.
I just love it. I think the acting's great. I think the writing's even better. I love Matthew McFadden, who was like the best Mr. Darcy.
And Nicholas Braun is good.
So that's my fondue. I'm so happy it's back.
Yeah.
I know there's people that are just like, I can't do it. And I get it because there is such a cringe or such a weird level of it. And also it is like just a bunch of billionaires. I follow a really amazing guy online, and his handle on Instagram is Electro Lemon, and I love him so much. But he did that song where it was like, all the rich white folks are going to argue, and then whoever wins is going to get a kiss from daddy. And he like does it to the Succession song. And you're like, oh, that's really what it is like just a bunch of rich white folks arguing and then trying to get a kiss from daddy. That's all it is.
The only
just
ones that me. Like, I love
I'm just
it.
happy. I love, look, I liked going from like House of the Dragon. Great. Loved it. Last of Us. So sad. And I love it. And we love Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
But then diving right back into Succession, I'm like, Sunday nights are back, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to have a show to look forward to. It's still kind of giving me that whole like I'm like I need something big, but I know we're only in episode 2. But I need some.
You'll get something big.
I need it now.
No, you can't. That's not how the dynamics work.
Listen, I don't know about you, but if you watch MILF Manor or Love Island, you're getting big hits 24/7.
We are not watching MILF Manor.
We're watching it.
Watch it for 2 episodes, and I was like, I'm sorry, I cannot do this.
Listen, I'm not a MILF person myself. I mean, Lee is a little older than me, but I wouldn't say she's a
year
MILF.
And a half.
All right. Wow, cougar over here. And a cradle robber over here.
Consequential.
But
because it does fold into people never
I love cringy reality just because that makes me, on a weird sad way, feel like I'm doing okay. Like I watch some of these things.
At least I'm not on MILF Manor.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, so that used to be my therapy before I actually got therapy. Was like, why don't you just watch like a few episodes of Hoarders, a few episodes of Intervention, and you won't feel so bad about yourself. Sure, you're drinking a beer while you're watching Intervention. You're fine.
You're drinking 4 beers while you're watching Intervention.
Yeah.
Sure, you go.
No one was ever addicted to marijuana. They've never had an.
I think you're gonna want to backtrack on that one.
I used to want to do a sketch about like my own, because they've never had, as far as I know, I stopped watching a while ago.
Sure, of course.
But they had never had an episode of Intervention about pot. It was always alcohol.
Sure. Once
it was computer cleaner. Sometimes it's been porn. Video games, but never marijuana.
Just solo.
Yeah. And I wanted to do one where there was like a guy like me or Seth Rogen or something, and it's just like everyone talking about him is like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, he's pretty cool on it. Like
he's just a little lackluster.
Yeah. No, I mean, he gets his work done. He's a cheer on The Office. Like, he makes some weird sandwiches.
I do know he burnt the Tostinos in the toaster oven.
But who hasn't done that?
He left it on too long.
Yeah, and then like that's the idea is like everyone just kind of realizes that he's, I think he's just anxious. It'd be
they're like reading their letters. They're like, hey, you just reek of pot, and it's not the end of the world, I guess. People came in hot with the questions, and in the future, of course, we'll add the questions to the Favorite Cheese podcast Instagram, so you know where to go ask questions and stuff. This is a really good one. I think it's a really good one. But what series or movie franchise do you wish you could watch again for the very first time? Mine is Fleabag, and season 1 and season 2. I think they're incredible. That's what I wish I could see again for the first time. Also, like, this is sad, but I think you'd agree with me. Game of Thrones, to watch it for the first time again would be incredible, but I'm still devastated about the end of it, so that's still
for me it'd be Rat Race.
Okay. Not Taylor asked us this question. This is a good one too. What is your perfect day at Yosemite?
Whoa.
Yeah, I know it. I know mine.
Let's hear yours.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, please.
Okay. We've camped in Yosemite a lot. That's one of the blessings that we've been able to do is I've somehow managed, I think it's manifestation because I have a deep calling to the world of Yosemite, and I think we're connected on a spiritual level. Personally, I feel rooted there, and not to be crazy, but I feel like it's really my hub, Yes. But we've camped there a lot, and so my perfect day is from a camp perspective, and the perfect day is obviously you wake up, you make your morning cup of joe at the campfire. You go, oh, this is so nice. You're probably going to do it on your stove because campfires, you can't really start them until 5 p.m. It's not that big of a deal. So you're going to make your morning coffee. You're going to sit around and hang out with your friends and go, oh, sippy, sippy. What should we get into today? And then for me, you either go on like a little hike. You do like either like half of the Mist Trail, or you go up to like the nature center, or you can go into a town and you go up to the Yosemite Falls and you hike to the base of Yosemite Falls and you go, oh, that's beautiful. You're going to bike ride. You're going to bike ride.
Yeah, bike ride is key.
Bike riding is key. You're going to bike ride to Yosemite Village and you're going to go, oh, this is so beautiful. And then you're going to go and you're going to park your bike at the base of the Yosemite Falls. You're going to hike up to the little secondary base of Yosemite Falls. You're going to get misted. You're going to take pictures. You're going to see it. It's going to be so beautiful if you want. And if it's the right time, you can dive into the little pool at the base of the falls. It's so cute, so sweet, so elegant. And then you go, hey guys, is anyone hungry? And we go, yeah, of course we're hungry. And we go, let's go get some sandwiches at Degnan's Deli. And then we go to Degnan's Deli. And it's right there in Yosemite Village. And we all get some nice little Sammies and some drinks. And we check out our social media because that's the only place in Yosemite that has any sort of Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, great. And we go, hey, what are we going to do later? And we're like, well, we're right by the store, so we should all pack up on firewood and with stuff we're getting for dinner tonight. Guess what dinner is tonight? It's called a hobo pack. It's a bunch of potatoes and sausages and bell peppers, and you throw them in a little aluminum foil, and you toss them on the campfire, and they're fantastic. And so then we're going to go grab all that stuff. We're going to put our little firewood on the back. We're going to bike back to our campground. Oh, how nice. Isn't that so sweet?
It sounds
wow.
nice.
You know what we should do now? We should dive into the river.
Yeah.
I really would love to have some river time.
This late at night?
No, this is like in the afternoon. This is 3 p.m.
Okay, got it.
Okay, we're going to dive into the river. We're going to coast. Grab yourself some
This is
road
one of
sodas.
my favorite parts.
Yeah, grab yourself a couple of throw some cans of Coke in a little string bag and you put it in the river because the river's cold enough. Or some beers.
Yeah.
And then you just coast in your little inner tube. And you turn on one angle, and it's like Half Dome is right there staring at you.
And then someone pushes you around, and you're like, no, that was my... Oh, wait. Nice. Another
beautiful view.
Yeah.
And so you coast down the river a ways, and then you walk back up, and you can coast down it. Or you can just hang out with your friends and tie to a tree and just coast there and tie one off. Just sit there and coast in the river as it trickles around you, and the wind waves through all of the different trees. And you look up and you go, oh my God, this was here thousands of years ago. I'm so insignificant, and what a power that holds.
Well,
to
it
be
was a
so
glacier,
insignificant. Well, sure, but I'm just saying.
You couldn't have just been in that water. You would have been in a glacier.
I'm saying it's nice to see something that will be there after you, long after you, that has been there long before you, and that really humbles you to the point of like, you are so truly insignificant, but also because you're even on this earth, you matter so deeply.
For sure.
I think that's such a weirdly beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then we're all like basking. We're like, oh, I'm getting pruny. Should we go in? We start a beautiful campfire.
Yes.
We throw our little food on there. If you don't want to do the food, you can always go get some pizza at Curry Village.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And then you come back, and then everyone goes, hey, should we hike out to the meadow and do some stargazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
Yes, we should.
So we hike out to the meadow. We lay on the planks of the boardwalk.
Yes.
There's a little boardwalk in the meadow, FYI.
Yeah.
Or you can bring your sleeping bags and lay out on the like driveway. And then you just lay out in the driveway and you watch all the stars because there's no ambient light. And so you see more stars than you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah.
And then we contemplate the vastness and what is after us and what will come before us. And do we believe in anything? And did you know that the universe is still showing itself to us? And wow, what are we?
Yeah. And when does the campfire fit in for this?
Yeah, that's afterwards.
Okay,
we had a campfire earlier for the food. And then we go back to our camp, and we all sit around, and we take little nips of whiskey, and we all just hang out, and we roast marshmallows, and we talk about the complexities of life, or we talk about how farts all sound different, and some of them sound like trumpets, and some of them sound like cellos.
Yeah,
and
classic campfires.
It's a real good day. That's my perfect day.
That's a great day camping.
Thank you so much.
So since you pretty much nailed that,
thank you so much.
My only note would be hopefully seeing an animal or two. Like I'd love to see
a bear or a deer or a coyote
or a bobcat or just I love a grouse. Everyone knows I love a grouse. And I love a skink. And when I saw my first skink in Yosemite, I was like, yeah, baby. So that's a great time.
Thank you so much.
Mine would be, I'm going to just, because not everyone's going to have the luxury of camping, so I'm going to help you out with, you have a car, you're only going for a day, and then we got to get out.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to want to get there pretty early. It's going to suck because, like, who's an early morning person? No one.
Gross.
But you're going to want to get there early,
yeah.
And if you could potentially do a weekday, I would highly suggest it, because if you're going on a weekend, it's going to be a lot of families yelling at each other.
Pandemonium.
A lot of kids not having fun.
No.
A lot of uncles mad about how expensive the hamburgers are. Like you don't want to deal with it.
Price.
It's the chaos. Yeah, I know, but it turns into Disneyland.
Yeah.
So what you're gonna want to do? You're gonna want to go on a weekday.
Okay.
You're gonna want to get there early because when the sun is rising in the morning, there it is quite beautiful.
Spectacular.
So hopefully, depending on what era of the setting back our clocks were in when you get there.
Okay.
And you don't want to go when it's too wintry. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful, but it's going to be hard to get into. So let's say it's summer or spring or a nice time. So you get there right when the sun is coming up. You hit tunnel view. I don't want to ruin what that is, but it'll change your life.
Yeah.
So you see it. You take some pictures. Wowzers. Now, you're going to be driving
Wowzers.
You're going to be driving into the park now. And we came in the south gate of Yosemite through Oakhurst area. You want to go that way. So you see the tower view or tunnel view. It's amazing. Now brace yourself, okay? It's going to be another 35 minutes until you get where you need to go. But just know that. Don't be like, oh my God, what is happening? Just enjoy the beauty. Enjoy the nature.
Yeah.
If you have a convertible or a sunroof, now's a good time.
Yeah.
Pull over. If you feel like, woo, I need to see this, pull over. It's fine.
Take pics.
Take your time. Then we're going to get to the valley floor. Oh my, OMG, right? You're now, the sun is out. Animals are coming out. There's probably some guy painting a scenery.
There's always some guy painting.
It's going to be like something you've never seen in your life. Especially, and if you got a camera, now's the time to bring it, okay? Yeah. So you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I'm seeing things. Things are happening. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm still a little city person, and it is pretty early. Okay, maybe we'll go over to Curry Village. We'll grab some Pete's Coffee. There's a Pete's Coffee there. A little insider tip, just so you can get your caffeine fix, all right?
That's nice.
Grab a snack. Go into the rock climbing store. Be like, crazy stuff they do here.
Yeah.
Then, what Lee said, you just pick some day events, because you're there. I would, If you can get a bike, that'd be awesome because it is really the best way to get around the park just because the wind in your hair, you get to see stuff. You don't have to deal with the creepy bus. You don't have to fight for parking.
You just take it all in, baby.
Yeah, so once you're in the park, probably in Curry Village, you park your car. That's it. You can rent a bike, or you brought a bike, or you just want to walk, or you take the buses, whatever. But leave your car. You don't want to deal with it. That
car's good.
So we started doing some stuff, some little day hikes, do any of the waterfalls. Just check it out. Check it out. Go to the Awani, which is where they filmed part of The Shining. It's a beautiful frontier style hotel from the 1920s. You're going to love it. You're going to be like, oh my goodness. We really
should be tour guides.
Then there's this little thing. There's these like little cabins right by Housekeeping Beach. Yeah. Housekeeping Beach is really cool. That's a cool place to go. It's not really a beach, but it is by the water. There's these houses, and it's really cool to see them. And then Half Dome is right in the background. Really cool stuff. You can go to the Ansel Adams Gallery. They have really cool stuff. Check your phone, as she said. There's a visitor center. You get to learn all about the history of the horrors that the white people did to the Native Americans and how it was created. It's
devastating.
So now we're starting to, we've had a good day. We've had lunch, at Degnan's Deli. We've had a good time. It's winding down. I think the sun is about to set in probably 2 hours. Oh, this is a good time to get back to the car.
Yep.
Now we're driving to the top of Glacier Point, folks.
Glacier Point, baby.
It's going to take you a minute to get up there. It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
It's going to take probably an hour and 10 minutes.
But it's worth it.
But you get up there, and it will change your life.
When you first get there, you're at the valley floor.
Exactly.
So you see, there's all these different, if you are familiar, there's, El Capitan, and there's Half Dome, and there's just all these beautiful, insane rock structures.
Yeah.
That were formed by a glacier thousands upon thousands of years ago.
So then, if you're afraid of heights, don't do this, because I actually didn't think about that. And we brought a friend up there, and they were like, cool, we drove an hour and 10 minutes for me to just want to get back in the car.
Yeah, he stayed in the car the whole time.
It's safe. It's not like you're not going to be rock climbing or anything. I mean, it's 4 people, but you are now on top of one of the rocks, and it is insane.
So you get to see everything from thousands upon thousands of feet.
Bird's eye view. Yeah. You're looking straight down, and it is absolutely mental, but it just gives you a whole idea. I mean, these rocks are taller than the tallest skyscrapers, you know, so it's absolutely amazing. So that would be my day. Then you go home and you had a good time. You're probably pretty tired, and but that would be my in a car one day. I'm showing the family what's up.
You did great.
If you're going to go in the next few years, though, do make sure they are retrofitting Glacier Point. I'm not sure when it's reopening, but when it reopens, that would be my...
This is going to be very helpful for the 4 people that are going to go to Yosemite.
Hey, and also Yosemite's really big, so we're talking about the south side, because I had a friend from Sweden who was out, and he's like, we will meet in Yosemite. And I was like, where are you at? And he was on the north side. I'm like, we will not meet in Yosemite.
That's hundreds of miles away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, precisely. Susie Cool asked us, what is something that you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Like a skill or existential answers, both work.
Okay. There's 2 things that I have that I say them, and I think people think I'm joking, but it's not a joke. It's something
I believe that you wanted to try it.
I want to get into falconry.
Yep.
Or birding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to have a connection.
Yeah.
On another level with a bird.
You've said this for years.
I had a friend who got to hold a bald eagle once. I haven't even been able to see a bald eagle yet in the wild. So I think I'd be a little nervous. But falconry, I love falcons. I think they're majestic. I think they're beautiful. And I think that'd be awesome. It would be. And how cool would that be if have you seen those Middle Eastern guys on those planes? They're so rich. They'll rent out planes for them and all their falcons.
I haven't seen this.
Which is amazing, because a falcon can just fly. But this falcon is living.
This guy is like, nah, I'm in a jet, baby. Don't worry about it.
What's up?
He's like, I can fly. I choose not to, honey.
Yeah, so that.
But he's got his little helmet on always.
Well, yeah, because he'll just freak out.
Yeah, no shit.
But I mean, he's comfy in that helmet.
Del, how would you even begin to try and do falconry out in the city of Los Angeles?
Well, we actually have a lot of red-tailed hawks and other types of falcons, peregrine falcons in this city, because when their deforestation ruined their whole climate, they use the skyscrapers as the trees, and they eat the pigeons. But so I would probably start on the roof of a building is probably where I would start, and I'd befriend them, and slowly but surely we would build up A whole.
I wish
that'd be my superpower.
I wish there was something where I could like Google like, hey, my husband wants to get into falconry.
No, they have Airbnb experiences.
A falconry?
Yeah, birding and falconry. And
why aren't we doing this?
Because
You're too scared? What if it's not cool enough?
No, I'm down. Dude, I'm down. I just didn't know how to be like, hey, I know we're really busy. Can we go play with these falcons? And because I know you would.
We got to make it happen, my guy. I'm serious.
Then my secondary thing, and this is where we got to do this one probably pretty fast because I think it's an age thing.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I've always wanted to either get into paragliding or I wanted to get into like building my own like kit sort of fan airplane like in Fly Away Home. If that movie where they flew the geese home.
I never want to say the ship has sailed.
but no, it hasn't sailed. And so
paragliding.
Not with like
not parasailing, but
no. This one is the one that I'm looking to get into.
Where you want to like base jump off of things?
No. Okay. I don't need to fly in the squirrel suit. This is more like you're on a piece of land that's like kind of going down and the wind is coming through and you are in a swing basically and you have a parachute on your back, but the parachute's already open. So you just run and then the wind slowly lifts you off the ground and then you kind of just go around and you sail. You can do barrel rolls.
I love you so much. I'm going to be so scared that you're going to die the whole time.
Well, I wouldn't do barrel rolls.
Oh, good.
That's when people get hurt. My friends that have done this that have broken their backs only break their backs when they're doing tricks.
Okay, so no tricks, but also it is still scary.
Yeah, but that's part of the fun.
And you want to build your fly away home plane?
Yeah, and I just want to like I'll be free up there, you know? I'm like a bird. I got to get away.
I think Delman just wants to get any form of like birding. He wants to either become
I just want to fly. I want to fly.
Yeah.
Or jump. The jumping really high would be cool too, but I don't even see a world where I could do that. I don't even know how. I used to love trampolines. Okay. Anyways, I'm just trying to feel again. And I think flying might be the way to do that.
Okay. I love this both for you.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have expected falconry and paragliding to be your answers.
Then they go, actually that makes sense.
That makes so much sense.
I mean, I already, I've done most of the stuff that I want to do and I'm not, but those are two that I'm like, I don't even know how to get into that yet. Yeah. So that's a hard one.
Mine is literally like calligraphy.
Well, I already tried that and I don't have a steady hand.
You did try
but I still have the kit if you want to get into it. So
I forgot you tried calligraphy for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mine is something very simple of like, I'd like to learn calligraphy. That's a skill that I think I could be into for a second.
I just don't see it being useful.
Sure.
In the end of days, they're like, what does it say? Like, it's Roman numeral. Meanwhile, I'm like, caca, come back to me.
Screech.
Yeah, Screech and caca. Those are my guys.
That's your guys' names?
Screech and caca.
Screech and caca. Oh, I love it more than anything. That's a fantastic question. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
This is a pretty good question. Breener97 asked, any stories about the worst managers you had in a job? I had I've had a bunch of like really weird bad managers in a lot of different aspects, not just like restaurant work or anything. I've had horrible people in a lot of different things. But my favorite one that I can honestly say, because I've had like assholes, I've had like mean guys, I've had like, ones that just like weren't good at anything, that they'd be like, hey, where's the plate? And you'd be like, you've worked here for 6 years. How do you not know?
I'm not a plate guy.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. But one of my favorites was I worked in like a small town right outside of my hometown. Like you can't really work in your hometown because there was like no restaurants that were anything. So I drove a while to get to this place. There was a cafe. It was like a shitty little cafe and it was run by this whole family. And then all of a sudden, like 6 months in, it's kind of struggling. So they bring in an uncle. And the uncle is like this really intense guy. He's like really beautiful accent, but he's just like super intense. And he takes over the place and he like runs a tight ship, but also like really likes to have poker nights at night and gamble with his friends upstairs. And
a lot of guys coming and going.
A lot of guys coming and going. Yeah, and again, it's like a cafe. It's like a restaurant. It's not like anything.
No one's really ordering
suspicious.
anything.
Yeah, but like somehow we keep going and somehow there's still money and you're like, this is really interesting. And so the whole time, every chef and every like older guy that worked there was like, hey, did you know so-and-so like runs the Armenian Mafia? And I was like, that's not real. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then like a few things would be like red flags, where I'd be like, you know, one night as a joke, I had all my money to cash out and I was like, hey, can I keep this? And he was like, how much is it? And I was like, oh, it's like $300. I'm teasing. And he's like, keep it. Money doesn't matter to me. And I'm like, oh,
okay, come on, I'll keep
it, but that was weird. Okay.
That's
and there was
funny.
like always like really weird like late night things where they'd be like, hey, can you be around at like midnight to get an order
What
in?
matters
And I'd
to
be
the
like,
Armenian Mafia if it's not money?
I don't know.
Falcons.
But it was always like a really weird like. There's certain things that were like, hey, be here at midnight and get a shipment in. And I'm like a naive 20-something. So I was like, that's okay.
That's when they send the coffee
feels
cups.
a little late for focaccia bread. But yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
And so I just literally was like, all right. And then he had a wife that was always decked out in like diamonds. Like not like diamonds, like diamonds. Like the shit that she wore was like, I would be so scared to wear it outside anywhere.
Yeah.
But she was decked in it. Always she was decked in it. And then come to find out, like, absolutely they were dealing in, like, really weird diamond jewelry. It was really sketchy. Oh, I remember one night they had Kim Kardashian come out. This was ages before she was, like, anything. And she came out to open the club because she was, like, a friend of the family, I guess.
Sure.
And literally, like, she came out to an opening of a club that had, like, maybe 20 people there. And I'm sure it was, like, one of the most embarrassing things for her, but they paid her. And so who cares?
Well, I mean, I can think of a lot of embarrassing things.
Yeah, and that's fair. And that's fair. That's fair.
But go on.
But it was like everything was always really suspicious. Like, really just like, this is so weird. And once again, we didn't have customers. So no one knew how we stayed in business the whole time. And very long story short, like, I realized my mom sent me a thing after I quit. It was really weird. The guy was really like possessive and really intense, and he was furious that I was quitting because like, how could I do that to him? And like, he would even say things like, you know, I'll find you and I'll make sure that you don't work in this town. And you're like, wow. I don't know how because it's a big town.
But also not a lot of people
it's
working.
Just a cafe. Yeah. Like, I don't know what I could possibly do. He was really intense. And then my mom ended up sending me like a newspaper clipping, and she was like, hey, that old manager you had that you thought was really sweet, he went to jail for attempted murder.
That's
and I was
hilarious.
like, oh. And then apparently he was like a massive like mafia guy that like ran an underground selling of jewelry and all that. And here I was just being like, just trying to sell some focaccia bread and some wraps. And I had no idea. My life could have been very different. I could have really gotten involved in the Armenian Mafia.
You could have been that girl in Ozark. Like, you could have stepped up.
Oh my God, I could have been Ruth.
Yeah, you could
have.
But
I was too naive, and I just kept like standing there, and I
life wasn't hard enough on you yet.
No,
you had to be a trailer
right.
park girl. And
oh man, I'm sad. I could have had a whole crime scene life.
But instead, just naive.
Instead, I was just really
I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah. I was just really sweetly like taking in whatever the shipment was that they had in the back there that absolutely wasn't bread. But I'm like, I'll sign for it.
That's
just
hilarious.
like an idiot. But yeah, that's the one that stands out, is the one that went to jail for attempted murder, I think.
Fun.
So that was my worst manager.
Yeah, that was your
what was your
manager.
worst job? Do you have a worst job?
Yeah, I do. So when it's kind of where my screen name came from, Local One Way. I think I kind of talked about this story a little bit, but my job at the time, Local One Way is the saying on the side of a Penske truck, because you can rent it local, but only one way, I guess.
Sure.
I worked for this guy. He was a lawyer in Encino. I never met him ever, but like for whatever reason, he was addicted to teapots. Like teapots. He would just buy them. Didn't matter how like some of them.
It wasn't like bone china, or
some of it was. Some of it was like weird, like Disney teapots. Some
just
of
any and all teapots.
If it was a teapot and you put it on eBay, he was buying it.
Yeah.
And so he was rich enough to where he had this secret condo in Encino that his wife didn't know about, and he would just have teapots showing up there.
Could you imagine, like, literally getting this, like, somehow finding out about a secret apartment, and then being like, what the hell is this about?
Yeah.
And he's like, babe, it's my teapot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're thinking he's cheating or has a separate family, but no. It's that.
Yeah, exactly. And so
my God.
basically the job was we would drive out from where I grew up, which was like an hour and 10 minutes out. We were young.
That's
we would drive this moving truck, and then we would go in there, open all the teapots. We would like just write down what they were. And we're not like art students. So I'd be like, I don't know, plastic, Disney, and
Purple.
then we'd have to write. Yeah, we'd have to write down if some of them were broken, and then we would pack them back up, put them in the Penske truck, and then drive them to this other location.
That's insane.
Yeah, and we would get paid like $8 to $10 an hour, and like it was my uncle. My uncle is like he works in the art curation business, so he knows some wild, kooky characters. And it was funny because he was trying to help us out with the ones he gave the job. So it was like me, my other friend Cameron that got this job, and so we're young kids, and then like this older guy who like used to be the lead singer of this punk band, but was like having some hard times.
He's like, I need the teapot job.
Yeah, and
man.
he didn't even have a car, and so I'd have to pick him up. And I just loved it because like you could find his album in the local record store, but he's like just having a hard time.
This like Odd Jobs is the show that you need to pitch, and also just whatever this is.
Yeah, and I'm like, so punk, you know,
so punk rock. Well,
that's how I came up. He's like, Local One Way, that'd be a cool name for a punk band. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna take that because I'm probably
it's my screen name now.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then there was a guy named Owen who was questionably homeless, but he's the one that taught me to search for every exit when I walk into a building, so that I know the quickest and safest way out.
Well, thank you, Owen, for that tidbit of knowledge.
But yeah, so I ended up getting fired from that job. Broke a few teapots. You know, it just wasn't meant to be. But that was probably
broke a few teapots. Yeah.
But I broke a few teapots. Apparently, pretty expensive one. And they asked me. It was an awkward text, but they were like, "Don't come back."
Sure,
so, anyways, we still talk at holiday parties. So we're good.
Good.
Anyways, that was probably my weirdest. Teapot mover and documenter.
Teapot mover and documenter.
Yeah.
Like, what's this? What is this in your resume?
Yeah.
Oh, my teapot moving and documenting.
Oh no, it's not
phase?
on any resumes. There was no. There's cash. Like this is for a lawyer to do this. This was highly. No IRS knows. No one knows this happens.
Wow.
There's a few people. Oof. There's a condo in Encino, but my uncle does say he's like. Apparently, he's getting close to opening that museum. Like he's gonna
a teapot museum.
yeah, and I had no idea that's what we were doing this whole time.
I didn't know either.
But for like 20 years, this guy, so he's gonna do it. Gonna open.
Wow.
So
and how I don't know how much that's gonna pop off as the teapot museum.
You know,
but I don't want to be discouraging. It might actually really take off. Teapot museum might get hordes of people in.
And for him, I don't think he's doing it to take off. I think he's doing it for the passion
to display his hoarding technique.
Yeah. Anyways,
he's like, I need an excuse. My wife found out about the apartment that houses teapots.
Yeah,
that's incredible. I love that.
So that was my worst job. We lost the wide. This has been a crazy episode, I love it. But thanks for coming with us. We love you guys. Yes. Stay stinky.
Someone asked our favorite cheese of the week, and mine has been this really beautiful spicy honey goat cheese one. There we go.
Mine's been string cheese, really getting me through some.
It really
some
has actually.
Moments.
That's not a joke. Delman's been hammering the string cheese.
Stay stinky.
Stay stinky. We love you.
Love you guys.
Bye.